This is why I passed my guy, man. Speaks that life into me. Appreciate you, big dog. So we were just talking actually about some of the formal meetings that the Cowboys are having down there, which I'm a little mad you ain't down there, Pat, because I know you be asking some good questions. So maybe next year.
Just for clarity, a little bit of a personal issue that kind of held me back at the last minute, because I was scheduled to go as I annually do, but a couple of days before the trip, family thing, it's something that I needed to be here to manage. So, absolutely wish I was out there, but at the same time, home duties are home duties. So got to do what I got to do. However, I still have my people on the ground, Nicole Hutchinson, Nick Harris, doing great work out there. I'm in constant communication with them. I'm sending them, I know I'm getting on their nerves. I'm sending them some things early, 5, 6 a.m. like, hey, can you check out, can you ask this prospect this? Can you ask this prospect this? So they're definitely helping me out, getting me the intel I need so that I can feed Cowboys Nation what they need.
Yeah, they're doing a fantastic job. If you go look at the reporting and how we're getting the formal meetings, it's coming from Nick and Nicole. So shouts out to them.
Yeah,
and
kill it.
I wanted to ask you about these formal meetings because it's clear the Cowboys want to get bigger and stronger, right? That's the center point probably of this entire offseason. And they've met with 8 players formally. And I want to know from you, of those players so far, who are you most intrigued with?
Well, first of all, it has to start with these Texas guys. And when I say Texas guys, I'm also talking about the Aggie as well. So Edrin Cooper at linebacker, he's one that really piques my attention as well. He should pique everyone's attention. And then the other elephant in the room, no pun intended, T'Vondre Sweat, big boy.
Big boy, yeah.
So, when you look at the first round of formal meetings that the Cowboys had coming out of that first defensive front group on yesterday, it's clear that they're focusing in on linebackers and interior defensive linemen, and that is chef kiss because that is exactly what they need to be focusing on. They didn't have any, not that have come out just yet. I'm sure it'll kind of trickle out over the next couple of days, but as of yesterday, there weren't any formal defensive end meetings, and that's fine because look at where they are in defensive end. But you definitely have to address that linebacker and interior defensive line situation. And Edrin Cooper, he just jumps off the tape. Absolutely jumps off the tape. Another guy, Tyron Hopper out of Missouri, I think he's very underrated. I understand that, not a lot of people kind of pay attention to the University of Missouri. Yes, it's an SEC school, but they're not one of the upper echelon SEC teams. But as an SEC guy, go Dogs. We'll get to that in a moment because I know what you sent me on the rundown. I've been able to watch Missouri, that program, over the past couple seasons, every season as a matter of fact. And I've seen what Tyron Hopper has done, and I think he's one of the more underrated linebackers out there. But Edrin Cooper, T'Vondre Sweat, I'm just having these wonderful and McKinley Jackson, he's another one. He's Aggie. These Texas and Texas A&M guys, they're really popping coming into this draft. But when you look at guys like that, you just know that there's immediate impact. I don't look at a guy like Cooper or Sweat or Jackson or even Hopper for that matter and find myself worried that they, won't necessarily hit the ground running. I'll grant them the rookie curve, absolutely, which could be a 2-year process. But these guys look more prepackaged and ready to go.
That's crazy that you say that because this next question I want to ask you about wasn't even really a question. I'm kind of my statement and your thoughts. Kind of centers around guys that can come in here and hit the ground running because a report came out last night that the Cowboys' new hires are signed only a 1-year deal to go along with their head coach. And for me, Pat, I feel like that makes this scouting process a little bit tricky because we know when you're doing drafts, it's a long-term investment, but you don't really have that same long-term investment with these coaches. So that has to make this process difficult in the sense of I don't know how you can draft a guy early with premium picks that you say, yeah, we'll give it a couple years. You almost need these guys to come and hit the ground running now, right?
Oh, yeah, you absolutely do. And I did see the report. Shouts out to Michael Gilk. And I will say this, that's not necessarily news on our end because I know that might have been 2 weeks ago, 2 Cowboys breaks ago, the podcast, where Derek asked me if I had gotten information on how long Zimmer is in the building. I said, hey, I'm here in 1 year.
Okay.
So it tracks that, based on what Gilkin was saying yesterday, it tracks that the other new faces coming into the building, they're only on 1 year as well because they're tied to the Zimmer administration on the defensive side of the ball. And then, of course, we already know the status of Mike McCarthy. He's on a prove-it deal. Dak Prescott absent an extension, which they're still in the works there. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's be clear on that. Though it's not promised, that's a true statement by Michael Gilkin. It's also true that they're actively working toward it. So it is also equally possible that it happens. But absent a deal on Dak Prescott, he goes into a proven season. So that all circles to your original point, which is a fantastic one. This is part of the definition of being all in for the Cowboys, wherein, you know, not only do you have these coaches and potentially your starting quarterback on a contract year, you don't have the luxury when you're looking at these prospects and meeting with these prospects and going into the NFL draft of looking at one and saying, you know what, I think we'll do our usual second round dice roll on a guy who might pan out in year 3. Okay, well, this coaching staff that's doing these interviews, they might not have year 3. So I get it from a scouting standpoint. From a scouting standpoint, you know, you have that luxury, so to speak, right? Will McClay, thankfully, isn't going anywhere. His staff isn't going anywhere. But if you're Mike McCarthy, you're Mike Zimmer, you're the coaches, you now sit at the table with the scouts and you say, hey, I can respect that you guys have contracts beyond 2024. However, we do not, so we need this guy because this guy is prepackaged and ready to go right now. So very interesting dialogue that I'm sure is an active one between the scouting department and the coaches. But one thing I've come to learn when it comes to Will McClay, he is hand in hand with his coaches. So if McCarthy and Zimmer are coming to him saying we need guys ready to go right now, I can 100% guarantee you Will McClay is on board with that.
See, that just takes me back to last week. If it was me, man, I'd just go ahead and just trade these picks. I'm just saying. But we ain't going to talk to Pat about that. That's just Skywalker still talking about trading some of these picks, not Patrik No. Walker. That's all I'm saying, Pat.
Yeah, there you go. Good disclosure. Yeah. Because I got some ideas for some
no, we can talk off air.
However,
off air about that.
Yeah, however, I can't officially put that, you know, because again, it's one thing for me to say I want to send some of these picks away for some folks, but it's another thing for me to be the reason the Cowboys get picks taken and then don't get any folks in exchange. So, you know, I got to play it how I got to play. Yeah.
Oh, man. This next one. So I don't normally do this, but I decided to do this because this is a Georgia boy, okay? Mel Kiper, who puts out his mock drafts. If I was like full-fledged, you know, draft content guy, I would react to all these mock drafts because that's great content. But this guy in particular that Mel Kiper decided to say that, you know, the Cowboys will be taking is a Georgia boy, offensive tackle Marius Mims. Been talking a lot about him with Vach, 6'7", 330-pound, athletic but inexperienced tackle. And you had a very funny response to this, but I do want to get your thoughts on your boy because you know that's your squad, that's where you're from, or you know your school, and you probably know all these Georgia cats better than most people. So, Marius Mims, Cowboys select the offensive tackle from Georgia. What are your thoughts if that happens?
All right. So, anyone who has followed me for any respectable length of time knows that yes, I am a Georgia alum and I'm all in on my Georgia boys. But once they hit the draft pool, the objectivity comes in 100%. And if you don't believe me, go back and look at my takes on Khalid Ringo last year and this time last year, and you'll see that I absolutely did not want him in Dallas. So once they leave Athens, you know, I love you, but now we got to talk straight. Mims, absolute animal, 6'7", 340 pounds. Anchor is fantastic. Hands, powerful. He's a bully in a phone booth, 100%. Bully in a phone booth. He gets the job done. My concerns on Mims would be, you know, what does he look like coming off of that tightrope surgery on his ankle? Not necessarily a major issue, but, you know, something to keep an eye on. A slight red flag. I'd say a pink flag, not necessarily a red flag, but the bigger red flag is that he lacks the experience that some of the other prospects have. Now, when you talk about what we just spoke about, Steele, in that you're Mike McCarthy, you need a guy to be able to come in and possibly impact the game quickly because, yes, I'm on record as wanting Tyron Smith back on this team for 2024. Absolutely. But we also know that Tyron Smith, you have to plan for him to miss upwards of half the season. If that were to happen and the Cowboys continue to remain hell-bent on keeping Tyron Smith at left guard as they were in 2023, then you would love to believe that a guy, whoever you pick with a premium pick, because you're talking first round pick now.
Yeah.
This is a first round pick. Okay. If you're going to use a first round pick on a guy, you have to know that he has the ability to do what Tyron Smith did in 2022, and that, you could put him right there at left tackle in the, break glass in case of emergency type situation, and he's going to be able to perform. I believe that Mims could possibly do that, but I believe that there are other experienced guys, prospects in the draft that you could also take in the first round that will be in the bottom of the first round, maybe like a J.C. Latham, for example. Similar build, a little bit heavier, 6'6", 360, a couple inches taller, more experienced, more decorated as far as his football pedigree is concerned. That would give me more confidence. And, folks, if you're questioning the objectivity, I just gave you an Alabama guy. Right? Just gave you an Alabama guy over my Georgia guy. So I would have them neck and neck, but my edge will go to a guy like Latham, because my main concern, I should say, with Mims, I believe that he'll be great, fantastic at the NFL level. I don't know that he'll hit the ground running, although I think a guy like Latham or some of these other top OT prospects could possibly hit the ground running if you lose Tyron Smith in like week 3 or week 7 or something like that. Those other guys could probably come in and do more work more quickly than can Mims. I think Mims is more of like a 2025 guy if he were to be brought with the Cowboys. But also, let me say this, and I'll throw it back to you. You alluded to what I said in the text when you told me you were going to ask me this question. So let me put it out there. Cowboys don't draft or sign former Georgia players. I hate that. I hate to say it. I hate it. So reality, it turns my stomach. I just can't understand why Jerry won't get past the Quincy Carter days. He is traumatized, and he won't let it go. I would love for him to finally prove me wrong. But, folks, if he hasn't taken a Georgia guy out of these past 2 or 3 drafts, then I just don't see it happening randomly now. I don't. I love it, but I just don't see it.
It feels like when I hear tackle, because I'm all for taking a tackle of the future, but it's so early right now because we don't know what's going on with Tyron Smith, right? Free agency. But it feels like in this scenario, you're basically saying, I'll have Tyron Smith. So essentially, they're not going to the grocery store and they're shopping with the munchies. Because that's how I look at this thing here. If they don't have Tyron Smith, you're going into the draft with the munchies, and you're just like, I gotta take this because I'm hungry for this position.
Right.
If they have Tyron Smith, then I feel like they can go into the draft and say, okay, yes, we need to take an offensive tackle at some point, I think in the top 3 rounds. But we're not as hungry to take one immediately if there's another position that can come in here and play, because this is what's so tricky about it. Tyron going to get hurt. It's just going to happen. He's going to miss 3 to 4 games. You would hope it's just 3 to 4 games, right? So you have to factor that in when you're looking at this position. The Cowboys have to eventually take this position seriously for the future. But if they don't bring him back, you're basically cornering yourself into having to take this position, if not in round 1, at the very least round 2. I can't see him not taking it.
Exactly as the plan should be. The plan should be to get Tyron Smith back in this building in 2024, and that is the plan. Stephen Jones said it himself. He said that's the plan. They're already sitting down with Big 7-7, and they're trying to work out the numbers to get him, still here in Dallas for 2024. You do that, that allows you to go into the draft and say, hey, let's see how the board falls. If the perfect OT is there for our LT1 situation going forward for the future, fine. We'll take that 100% of the time. However, if things look a little shaky at that particular position, guess what? Maybe you still need to address the center position. So maybe then it allows you to go, do something else, a linebacker, for example. So that has to be the plan. Thankfully, it is the plan. And, I mean, as we have this conversation, obviously anything can happen one way or another. But I think it's trending toward Tyron staying. He wants to stay. He's taken, team-friendly deals in the past to stick around. He's still playing at a high level, which is why the Cowboys certainly want to keep him there. He becomes that definite bridge for this season moving into 2025. So then what you do, you double up in the draft. You get you a future LT1, because without Tyron, not only are you going into the draft with the munchies, like you said, but that puts you in a situation where you're in dire straits now at left tackle. Because, again, if you're as hell-bent as I think you are on keeping Tyler Smith at left guard, then what do you have at left tackle, right? that means you wouldn't have Tyron Smith, and we're talking pre-draft. You wouldn't have Tyron Smith, and the Chuma Edoga experiment is over, thankfully. That did not work. Matt Waletzko, his shoulders won't play nice with him. Awesome Richards, we don't know where he is in his development, but we do know he couldn't earn a single snap last season as a rookie, despite the carousel of injury that the Cowboys had on the offensive line. So that's a bit disheartening. We'll see what year two holds for the former Tar Heel. But I mean, you're then in dire straits. So first things first, get Tyron back in this building, or keep him in this building, I should say, for 2024, and then go double up. But at least you know that you can play the board versus going in being desperate and saying, you know what, it doesn't matter who falls. It doesn't matter what the BPA situation is. We got to take the offensive tackle, because more often than not, that just doesn't work.
And there you have it, our guy Patrik No C Walker. Hey, next week, I might be in the nosebleeds, but I'm going to see you there, right?
Absolutely. It's WWE Smackdown, American Airlines Arena. I'm in the building. Steele's in the building. I know a lot of our readers and listeners are in the building. The Rock is in the building.
I gotta
Roman's
go.
in the building. Cody's in the building. Oh, man.
I gotta go.
Turn me up. Let's bring it. Let's go. Hey, I love Cody to death. I really do. But I was raised in the Attitude Era with, like, Stone Colds of the world and DXs and The Rock. So when I tell you I got to side with Dwayne, I got to side with Dwayne. So Cody Crybaby, come on.
Cody Crybaby. He's one of the few I haven't seen live in regards to The Rock. So once I found out he was constant, I have to go. Like, I have to be able to experience that song, that theme hitting, The Rock coming out here, the chills. I have to. I've seen Triple H, Undertaker, Stone Cold. I see Brand. I've seen them. Everybody but The Rock somehow. So I'm definitely there.
You got to get The Rock. Yeah, we're gonna turn up. We're gonna be there. And ladies and gentlemen, if you got the tickets, come find us, come link, come join us. But until then, go and, I'm talking to the Cowboys now. Until then, get ready for free agency. We want to see some whales.
Facts.
We want to see. You said you're all in. I'm calling your bluff. I'm in the building calling your bluff. So what you gonna do? Come with it.
They're gonna call you with 7 deuces. What they're gonna do and lose our aces. But I appreciate you, Pat. Love you, big dog.
They don't know about that, bro. Full tray. I'm out.
Shout out to Patrik No C Walker, DallasCowboys.com.